The twin suns of Arden 9 were just beginning to dip below the jagged horizon, casting long shadows over the colony's silver domes and metal structures. The air was thin, dry, and cold, and the wind carried the faint hum of distant storms that rolled endlessly across the barren plains. From a distance, the colony looked peaceful, almost lifeless, like a small dot of humanity struggling to survive on a lonely, forgotten planet. But inside, the corridors of the New Dawn colony buzzed with tension. The screens flickered with unreadable codes, alarms blinked in muted red, and the colonists moved faster than usual, a strange unease gripping everyone. Lieutenant Aiden Core, a young but determined officer recently assigned to Arden 9, paced the command center. His hands clenched and unclenched at his sides as he stared at the blinking monitor in front of him. The monitor displayed readings from a nearby planet in the system, a rocky world that had been uninhabited, or so they had thought. The strange signals had started hours ago. At first, the colony scientists assumed it was some kind of natural phenomenon. Radio waves bouncing strangely off the magnetic fields, interference from the storms. But the signals were too organized, too deliberate. They were patterns, messages. The first message came in a low, vibrating hum through the colony's communications network. It was almost impossible to decipher, a series of growls and clicks layered over deep pulses of energy. When the system finally translated it into something the humans could understand, the words appeared on every screen. Bow or be torn apart. A chill ran down Aiden's spine. He wasn't sure if it was the words themselves or the way the hum had resonated through the building. Every colonist in the command center froze. The air seemed heavier, and for a moment, no one breathed. "Commander, this isn't a joke," whispered Dr. Lyra Venn, the colony's lead scientist. Her eyes were wide, her hands trembling slightly as she pointed at the screens. "This is alive. Something is alive out there, and it's aware of us." Aiden swallowed hard and forced himself to stay calm. "How big?" he asked, his voice steady even as his heart thudded in his chest. Dr. Venn shook her head. "I can't tell yet, but it's massive. The energy readings, they're off the charts. This is not a small creature. Could be kilometers long, and whatever it is, it's moving fast." At that moment, the colony's recon drones sent back footage from the outer planes. The video feed was grainy, crackling with interference, but it was enough to make every colonist gasp in horror. Towering shapes moved across the horizon, larger than any human building, darker than the rocky cliffs they passed over, with shadows that seemed to stretch unnaturally. One of the drones zoomed in, and a massive claw, or what could have been a claw, snapped at the ground, flattening an entire ridge in one swipe. "It's hunting us," muttered Captain Elena Rourke, the colony's experienced leader. Her jaw tightened, and she glanced at Aiden. "We need a plan. Are we preparing to fight or run?" The command center erupted in arguments. Some colonists wanted to flee to the escape pods. Others believed they had to fight, no matter the odds. Panic was rising, but Aiden noticed something in the reports that no one else seemed to see at first. The signals were almost taunting them. The pulses of energy weren't random. They were tracking the colony's movements, predicting responses, testing reactions. "Look at this," Aiden shouted, pulling up a series of charts. "It's learning from us. Every move we make, every signal we send, it adapts. This isn't just a creature. It's intelligent." Dr. Venn's face went pale. "A monster, yes, but not just a brute. This thing thinks, calculates, and right now we're on its radar." The tension in the room doubled when the colony's scout team returned with live reports. They had ventured just beyond the perimeter to gather data on the approaching threat. Their communications feed broke, static and screeches filling the air. Then one scout's voice, panicked and strained, came through. It's huge. I can't even describe it. It's coming faster, too fast." The transmission cut abruptly. Moments later, another scout tried to reconnect, only to send a single, horrifying message before the feed went dead. "Run or die." No one in the command center moved for several long seconds. The weight of reality sank in whatever was approaching. It was not only massive and intelligent, it was merciless. Humans on Arden 9 were not just being threatened, they were being hunted. Captain Rourke slammed her fist on the console, her voice cutting through the tense silence. Everyone calm down. We survive this by staying smart. We have defenses, drones, weapons, and we have each other. Panic will kill us faster than this thing ever could. Aiden nodded, though he felt a cold knot form in his stomach. He looked around at the colonists, the young engineers, the medical team, even the children in the colony's care program, all looking up at their leaders for hope, for guidance. Their eyes were wide with fear, but there was a spark of determination there too. Humans did not give up easily, and this was the first lesson Arden 9 would teach them about survival. Outside the colony, the alien signals continued to grow stronger. The sky above Arden 9 rippled as if some invisible force was pressing down. Distant roars echoed across the plains, shaking the metal roofs and causing loose equipment to rattle violently. The colonists watched in horror as their defensive drones were torn apart mid-flight, shredded by a force they could barely comprehend. Dr. Venn whispered to Aiden, "It's testing us. Every attack, every move we make. It's seeing how far it can push us before we break. And I'm afraid of what it will do if we try to fight it head-on." Aiden's mind raced. Fight or flee, every option seemed like walking into a trap. The alien beast was stronger than anything they had ever encountered, smarter than the best human minds in the colony. Yet, giving up was not an option. Not if even one human life could be saved. From the observation deck, a scout's eyes widened as they tracked the alien beast approaching the colony. Its size was impossible to measure, its form shifting slightly as though the darkness itself had grown legs and claws. The ground trembled with each movement, and distant dust storms churned around its massive frame. Every colonist watching could feel the power emanating from it. A presence that could crush mountains, flatten cities, and devour entire squads of humans without hesitation. The final transmission from the alien crackled through the colony's speakers, sending chills down every spine. "Submit or be destroyed. Your world, your species will be mine." Silence fell. No one moved. Even the youngest colonists sensed the danger, the magnitude of what they were facing. The monster was not just a beast. It was a force of nature with intelligence beyond human understanding, and it had chosen Arden 9 as its first target. Captain Rourke turned to Aiden and Dr. Venn, her voice low but steady. "We need to prepare, not just to survive but to fight smart. This thing is far stronger than anything we've faced. But if we work together, we might just make it through the night." Aiden clenched his fists and took a deep breath. He looked out at the alien world nearby, at the shifting shadows that marked the beast's approach. A terrible dread filled him, but behind it was a spark of resolve. Humanity had survived worse, adapted faster, and learned from every threat. Arden 9 would not fall without a fight. As the twin suns disappeared completely, leaving the colony in near darkness, a final distant roar echoed across the plains. The ground trembled again, and every human in New Dawn Colony felt it in their bones. The alien monster had arrived. It was massive, intelligent, unstoppable, or so it seemed. But humans had one weapon no alien could ever fully predict: their courage. And for the first time that day, Aiden allowed himself a small, determined smile. "Then let it come," he said. "We will not bow. Not yet." And with that, Arden 9 held its breath, waiting for the nightmare that was coming closer with every second. The night over Arden 9 was thick and suffocating. The twin moons barely lit the jagged plains, leaving the colony in shadows that seemed almost alive. The hum of the colony's power generators was a fragile comfort, a tiny heartbeat in the vast emptiness outside. But that comfort was false. Everyone knew it. The alien beast was out there, moving closer with each passing moment, and the first terrifying encounter was inevitable. Lieutenant Aiden Core and Captain Elena Rourke stood in the command center, studying the readings from the colony's perimeter sensors. Each ping, each energy spike, brought a fresh wave of fear. But it also brought determination. Humans were stubborn, and Arden 9 had taught them to survive against the impossible. Commander, a young scout technician said, voice trembling, we've got something on the long-range scanners. Large, very large, moving toward us. And it's fast. Aiden's stomach tightened. He had seen the shadows on the horizon during the day, had heard the echoes of distant roars, but now the movement was unmistakable. Whatever the alien was, it had begun its hunt in earnest. Alert all defense squads, Captain Rourke ordered. Prepare drones. Prepare weapons. No mistakes. Not now. The colony came alive with motion. Lights blinked, sirens wailed softly, and colonists moved quickly but carefully, checking weapon caches, recalibrating shields, and readying the heavy-duty drones for combat. There was fear in the air, but also an unspoken resolve. Humans had faced danger before, and they would face it again. Outside, on the rocky plains, the alien beast's massive shadow moved like liquid darkness. It was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Its form shifted, almost as if it could stretch or compress at will, but its size remained terrifying. Taller than the tallest building in the colony, wider than a city block. Its claws scraped the rocky surface, leaving deep gouges in the earth, and every movement sent shockwaves that rattled loose equipment and knocked small vehicles off balance. The first contact came through the colony's drone network. Small reconnaissance drones had been sent to the edge of the alien's approach to gauge size, speed, and strength. What they captured made every colonist gasp in horror. The beast's skin was dark, almost metallic, with ridges that reflected the dim light. Its head was massive, with rows of jagged teeth that could crush steel. And yet, the most terrifying part wasn't its size, it was intelligence. Its movements were deliberate, calculated, almost human in their precision. Shut down all unnecessary transmissions, Captain Rourke ordered. It's tracking our signals. Every ping we send, it learns. But it was too late. The alien had already detected the drones. One by one, the mechanical scouts were crushed or incinerated by blasts of unknown energy. Sparks flew, metal tore, and the camera feeds went black as the alien beast's wrath reached them. The colony watched helplessly, unable to intervene. Hold your ground, Aiden shouted, gripping the console. We can't let it break us before we even get started. Then, a transmission from one of the outer perimeter posts cut through the panic. Scout Officer Mira Celine's voice trembled as she spoke. It's here. Too close weapons are useless. Its energy shields are too strong. The feed wavered, showing glimpses of the alien beast approaching the colony. It moved with terrifying speed, faster than its size suggested. One swing of its claw crushed a rocky hill, sending clouds of dust and debris into the air. The humans could see the energy waves radiating from its body, distorting the light and shaking the ground. Captain Rourke clenched her jaw. We don't have time. Activate defensive drones and fire the pulse cannons. Target its limbs. Slow it down if we can. The colony's defenses erupted in controlled chaos. Pulses of energy shot into the night sky, drones zipped toward the beast, and alarms rang out across the base. Sparks flew as the first wave of attacks hit. The alien beast roared, a deep, vibrating sound that seemed to shake the very ground beneath Arden 9. For a moment, it seemed that the humans might succeed. The pulses struck the beast, and it staggered slightly. But then it moved again, faster than before, striking drones and weapons with devastating precision. The ground trembled violently as it advanced, clawing through the defenses like they were paper. Aiden could hardly believe his eyes. He had expected a fight, yes, but not this. Not a force this massive and intelligent. He swallowed hard. Humans were strong, clever, adaptable, but this alien, it was a nightmare made real. Fall back, Captain Rourke commanded. Pull all non-essential personnel into the inner shelters. Don't stop to fight unless you have no choice. Colonists scrambled, some dragging injured comrades, others running to the safety of reinforced tunnels. Dust and sparks filled the air as the alien beast's attacks tore through the colony's outer defenses. The twin moon's dim light flickered across its massive form, casting terrifying shadows that seemed to crawl along every wall and corridor. Aiden stayed at the command console, issuing orders, tracking the beast's movement and coordinating the remaining defenses. Keep it away from the core. Don't let it breach the main habitat domes. But the alien was relentless. Its intelligence became more apparent with each move. It wasn't just attacking blindly. It was hunting, isolating targets, and testing the colony's strategies. Every countermeasure was analyzed, every weapon strike accounted for, and every drone destroyed. It was learning. In the chaos, Scout Officer Mira Celine reconnected briefly to the command center. Her face was pale, sweat running down her temple. It's studying us, like we're prey. Every move we make, it adapts. We don't understand it. We can't predict it. Aiden nodded grimly. Then we make it predict the wrong thing. Captain Rourke's eyes met his, determination burning in both their gazes. We survive tonight. That's all we have to do. We learn from it, and tomorrow we fight smarter. The alien beast let out another ear-shattering roar, a sound that carried across the plains, vibrating in the bones of every human who heard it. Sparks from damaged drones fell like fireflies in the night as the creature paused just beyond the main perimeter. For a long moment, it simply stared at the colony, sensing, calculating. Then, without warning, it disappeared into the shadows, retreating for now, but not gone. The silence that followed was deafening. The dust hung in the air like smoke from a battlefield. Broken drones smoldered across the plains, and the faint scent of burned metal lingered. Colonists emerged cautiously from shelters, surveying the damage. They had survived, but barely. Dr. Venn whispered, almost to herself, "It's smarter than we imagined, faster, stronger, and it knows fear. It's testing us." Aiden's jaw tightened. He looked toward the distant horizon where the alien had vanished. "We've seen it now. We know its power. But we also know one thing, it's not invincible. And we are humans. We never give up." Captain Rourke placed a hand on his shoulder. "Tomorrow we plan. Tonight we survive. And when we strike back, we do it together or we die trying." As the twin moons rose higher, casting pale light over the battered colony, the humans of Arden 9 prepared for the long night. Outside, somewhere in the darkness, the alien beast waited, watching, learning, and the humans knew one terrifying truth. This was only the beginning. The first encounter had ended, but the war had just begun. The first night after the aliens' attack was the longest Arden 9 had ever seen. The twin moons disappeared behind a thick cloud of dust and storms, leaving the colony in near darkness. Even inside the reinforced shelters, the low hum of generators and the soft clatter of equipment couldn't drown out the memory of the creature's roar. Every colonist felt the alien's presence like a shadow over their hearts, a reminder that it had been there and could return at any moment. Lieutenant Aiden Core and Captain Elena Rourke sat in the command center, surrounded by maps, drone schematics, and energy readings from the alien's previous attack. Their faces were tired, but their minds worked faster than ever. They had to find a way to fight back. Direct combat was suicide. The alien was too large, too strong, and far too intelligent. They needed a plan, something clever, something unpredictable. Dr. Lyra Venn adjusted her glasses and pointed at a series of scans. "Look here," she said, her voice low but urgent. "During the attack, I noticed patterns in its movement. It avoids certain energy frequencies, and its strikes always follow predictable sequences. For now. If we can manipulate that, we can trap it." Aiden leaned over the table, studying the holographic display of the alien's path. "So you're saying we make it think it's winning, lure it where we want, and then strike?" "Exactly," Dr. Venn replied. "We create a kill zone, a place where it can't escape, where we control the battlefield. But it has to think it's controlling us. If it senses the trap, we're dead." Captain Rourke's eyes narrowed. "We'll need bait." She glanced at Aiden. "Someone has to draw its attention, lure it into the zone. We can't risk the whole colony." Aiden's stomach tightened. "That's dangerous. Whoever does it." "We'll be human," Rourke finished. Her voice was steady, but the weight of the decision hung in the air. Arden 9 had no other choice. Humans had faced monsters before, and if they wanted to survive, they needed courage, sacrifice, and clever thinking. By morning, the colony was buzzing with preparation. Engineers fortified the trap zone, laying energy nets, pulse cannons, and reinforced barriers. Scouts trained their drones for coordinated strikes. The colonists knew they were walking a dangerous line, but the determination to survive burned brighter than their fear. Aiden and Dr. Venn worked late into the night on the alien's energy patterns, analyzing every movement it had made. "It's smart," Dr. Venn said finally, rubbing her temples. "Not just instinct, planning. Predicts reactions, adapts instantly. But it has one flaw. It can't anticipate what it can't sense. We make our moves invisible until the last second, and we control its path." The trap required perfect timing. If the alien sensed any hesitation, it would adapt and escape, destroying everything in its path. But humans were stubborn. Humans were clever. And Arden 9 had bred survival into their veins. At dusk, the alien returned. From the command center, the colony watched as a shadow moved across the horizon, larger and darker than ever. The ground trembled beneath its feet, shaking the colony's outer defenses. It had learned from its last encounter, cautious, calculating, and more aware of the human's abilities. "Remember," Captain Rourke said, addressing the small strike team, "we make it think it's hunting. We appear weak, scattered, vulnerable. That's when we strike." Aiden, Dr. Venn, and a handful of volunteers moved to the forward observation post, a cluster of reinforced towers on the colony's outskirts. From there, they would act as bait, drawing the alien into the trap zone. Every step felt heavier than the last, the knowledge of the beast's intelligence and strength pressing down on them. The alien's roar echoed across the plains, low and vibrating, shaking the very ground. Aiden felt it in his bones. The creature's head rose above the rocky ridges, eyes glowing faintly, scanning the horizon. It seemed almost to smile, or at least mimic the expression of satisfaction. It had detected the humans and had begun its hunt. The strike team split, moving in calculated paths, leaving behind false energy signatures, drone noises, and decoy signals. The alien followed, slow at first, then faster, testing, calculating, deciding which targets to prioritize. Every motion of the humans was designed to appear weak and chaotic, luring the creature toward the trap zone. "Steady," Captain Rourke whispered. "Do not fire early. Let it think it's winning." Hours passed as the alien drew closer, each step shaking the plains and sending small rocks bouncing across the surface. The trap zone loomed ahead, a reinforced canyon-like structure lined with energy nets, pulse cannons, and automated defense drones. This was humanity's gamble. One wrong move and Arden 9 would be destroyed. When the alien finally stepped into the canyon, it paused, sensing something was different. But the humans had planned for this. Hidden sensors activated, false energy pulses mimicking the chaos of the strike team, making the creature believe it had found weak, scattered prey. Then, as it advanced further, the trap was triggered. Energy nets shot up, wrapping around its massive limbs and body. Pulse cannons fired in rapid succession, hitting the creature's armored skin. Drones swarmed from both sides, blinding and distracting it. The alien roared, thrashing violently, its intelligence clear in its actions. It tried to analyze the trap, to escape, to strike the humans before they could finish their plan. But the humans were ready. Every move it made had been anticipated, every reaction predicted. The beast had strength and size, but humans had cunning, teamwork, and unshakable resolve. Aiden watched as the creature struggled, clawing and smashing against the nets, roaring louder than the ground could carry. Sparks flew from pulse cannon hits, and dust clouded the canyon floor, hiding the strike team from its gaze. For the first time, the alien hesitated, uncertain. The humans held their breath. One mistake now, and it would escape, stronger and more furious than before. "Hold steady," Captain Rourke shouted over the chaos. "Don't give it a chance." Dr. Venn activated the final sequence. Concentrated pulses designed to overload the creature's sensors, creating a temporary paralysis. The alien's massive form froze mid-step, its body shivering from the energy surges. The humans pressed their advantage, tightening the nets, launching more drones, and firing precision strikes. But even in paralysis, it was terrifying. Its eyes glowed with intelligence and fury, and Aiden knew this was only a temporary victory. The beast was learning, adapting with every second. As the first wave of attacks ended, the humans retreated to a safer distance, watching through monitors as the alien struggled against the trap. It roared again, a sound that shook the canyon walls and reminded everyone that the creature's power was far from broken. It had been caught, yes, but not defeated. Not yet. Captain Rourke looked at Aiden, her face illuminated by the flickering screens. We survived. That's step one. But it's smarter now. It won't forget this trap. We need to plan for what it will do next. Aiden nodded, jaw tight. He had seen fear in many forms, but nothing compared to what he felt now. A mix of awe, terror, and determination. Humans were small, fragile, and mortal, but Arden 9 had taught them to think, to adapt, to survive against the impossible. Outside, the alien beast writhed, testing the nets and calculating its escape. It had underestimated humans once, and it would not again. But the humans had learned too. They had seen its power, felt its intelligence, and understood its methods. The war for Arden 9 was far from over. But for now, the trap had worked. Humans had won a temporary victory, and with it came hope, the first spark of resistance against a force that seemed unstoppable. As the dust settled, the colonists tended to the wounded, repaired the defenses, and watched the alien through the observation drones. It was alive, it was smart, and it was furious. But humanity had shown its first signs of dominance. Cleverness, teamwork, and courage. And in the hearts of the humans, a thought burned brighter than fear. We will not bow. We will not surrender. And we will survive. The air in the command center was thick with tension. Arden 9's colony had survived the first encounters. But the humans knew that temporary victories were only the beginning. Lieutenant Aiden Core stared at the screens displaying the alien's movements. The creature was intelligent, fast, and deadly. Every step it took outside the trap seemed calculated, as if it was learning from each strike, each misstep, and each strategy the humans deployed. It was not a simple monster, it was an enemy with mind and will. Captain Elena Rourke paced the floor, her boots echoing softly against the metal plates. We can't fight it blindly anymore, she said. We need to understand it, how it thinks, how it moves, why it's here. Dr. Lyra Venn leaned over the analysis console. We've already gathered some data from the traps, the drone footage, and the energy pulses. The creature's biology is unlike anything we've seen, but patterns emerge. It reacts to sound, light, and energy in very specific ways. It has weak points, but they are subtle and hard to exploit. The key is observation and patience. Aiden rubbed his temples. Observation, while it could crush the colony in seconds? Yes, Dr. Venn said calmly. We won't fight it head-on. We will learn from it first, then strike where it is vulnerable. That is how humans survive when they are smaller, weaker, or outmatched. The team set to work immediately. They deployed new drones, smaller and faster, to hover around the alien at a safe distance. Some emitted high-frequency sounds, others projected energy pulses, all designed to probe its reactions. Every movement of the alien was monitored, logged, and analyzed. Hours passed. The humans learned more than they expected. The creature had layers of intelligence that fascinated and terrified them. It understood danger, recognized patterns, and could anticipate attacks. Its energy pulses weren't just destructive. They were forms of communication, signals that coordinated its behavior, almost like a language humans had never learned. What we're seeing, Dr. Venn said, pointing at the holographic analysis, is not a mindless predator. It is a hunter. It strategizes, plans, and most importantly, it adapts. It will learn from everything we do. Every mistake, every weakness we show, it will use against us. Aiden clenched his fists. So every battle, every encounter, it will get stronger. And smarter. Yes, Venn confirmed. But that doesn't mean we can't use its intelligence against it. If we trick it, if we mislead it, it will follow our lies and expose itself. Captain Rourke nodded. Then we need bait and we need to think ahead. We know its weaknesses, even if they're small. We know it fears isolation and energy overloads. We know it tests humans before it strikes. Now we use that. Outside, the alien prowled the rocky plains, moving with a grace that belied its size. Shadows stretched unnaturally, and the ground trembled with every step. The humans watched from hidden sensors as it paused near the remnants of the first trap, as if sensing the ghost of its defeat. Sparks from destroyed drones glimmered in the dim light, and the alien's glowing eyes scanned the terrain, calculating and adapting. Dr. Venn studied the data from these observations. It is testing us again. Every small movement we make, it watches, it evaluates, it predicts. But here, she pointed to the energy pulse readings. There is a rhythm, a flaw. When it charges for an attack, it pauses for a fraction of a second. That is when its armor is weakest. If we can time our strike perfectly, we can hit that moment. Aiden's pulse quickened. One mistake and we're finished. Every colonist is at risk. Are we ready for that? Captain Rourke's voice was calm, but filled with determination. We have no choice. Either we act now with what we know or Arden 9 becomes its playground. Humans survive by fighting smart. That is who we are. The team devised a daring plan. They would use the colony's terrain to their advantage, creating false escape routes, traps, and energy diversions. Drones would draw the alien into the canyon, while small strike teams, including Aiden and Rourke, would maneuver into positions to hit the creature's weak points during its attack. Timing, precision, and coordination were everything. Hours later, the humans moved into position. The colony was tense. Every colonist prepared to act at a moment's notice. Children were secured in underground shelters. Engineers checked weapons one last time, and medical teams stood ready for the inevitable casualties. Arden 9 had learned to endure, and its people were determined to survive. The alien appeared again as predicted, its massive form silhouetted against the twin moons. It moved carefully as if testing the humans, measuring the distance, assessing the traps. Sparks flew from energy nets designed to mimic weak points, and drones buzzed around it, projecting illusions and false signals. The alien paused, its glowing eyes narrowing, analyzing every detail. "This is it," Captain Rourke whispered. "Watch it carefully. Wait for the opening." The alien advanced, then froze, sensing the hidden strike teams. It snarled, a low, vibrating sound that shook the canyon walls, and then lunged toward the nearest decoy, triggering the energy nets. Pulse cannons fired, drones distracted, and the alien's massive limbs collided with invisible barriers. Aiden and the strike team moved. They had studied the rhythm of its attacks, the small pause when it charged its energy. Timing was everything. As the alien lifted a claw to strike, Aiden fired a concentrated pulse directly at the exposed moment of its armor. Sparks flew. The creature roared, thrashing violently. It had not expected this, but it was learning again. Every reaction it had shown, every counter, was evidence of its intelligence. Humans had bought time, but the alien was far from defeated. Each strike now had to be measured, precise, and coordinated. One mistake and Arden 9 would be leveled. The humans observed more. They discovered something even stranger. The alien's behavior indicated fear. Not fear as humans know it, but avoidance. It hesitated near certain energy frequencies and terrains. It avoided direct confrontation with multiple targets attacking simultaneously. These observations were small, subtle, but crucial. Humans had found the first cracks in the armor of an unstoppable force. Aiden looked at Captain Rourke. "We've learned so much, but we can't stop now. We need to turn this knowledge into action before it adapts fully." Captain Rourke nodded. "Exactly. Knowledge is our weapon now. Humans survive by learning, by thinking, by adapting. This creature may be strong, but we have something it does not: ingenuity." Outside, the alien roared again, shaking the canyon walls. Sparks from drones and pulse cannons flew, dust rose in clouds, and the humans watched its every move. They had learned, adapted, and prepared. Arden 9 had survived the first encounter and the trap, and now, armed with knowledge, they were ready for the next step. But even as the humans celebrated their understanding, a terrifying realization spread among the strike team. The alien was not alone. The energy readings hinted at distant movements, something larger, something waiting. The creature they had studied and fought was only a part of a bigger threat. Dr. Venn whispered, almost to herself, "This is far from over. Whatever this is, it's part of a larger intelligence. And we may have just begun to scratch the surface." Aiden's jaw tightened. He looked at the distant horizon, where shadows shifted and dust swirled. The alien had weaknesses, yes, but its mind and its presence were more terrifying than anything they had imagined. Humans were clever, but they were also mortal. Arden 9's survival depended on courage, wit, and perhaps a little luck. Captain Rourke turned to the team. "We have knowledge now. We know the enemy. We prepare, we strike, we survive. Nothing else matters. Remember this moment. This is what humans do when faced with the impossible. We do not bow. We do not surrender. We fight." The alien beast watched from the plains, sensing, calculating, learning. It had underestimated humans once, and it would not underestimate them again. But humans had also learned. They had seen its patterns, its strengths, and its subtle weaknesses. Arden 9 had found hope in the face of terror, courage in the shadow of annihilation, and determination in the presence of a monster that seemed unstoppable. And for the first time, the humans understood that knowledge was more powerful than fear, and that they would need every ounce of it for the battle yet to come. Dawn broke over Arden 9, but it brought no warmth, no comfort. The twin suns barely lit the battered colony, casting long shadows over broken drones, scorched earth, and the jagged canyon that had become the humans' trap for the alien beast. Every colonist knew that today would decide their survival. The creature they faced was no ordinary predator. It was intelligent, adaptable, and terrifyingly strong. Arden 9's fate rested on strategy, courage, and timing. Lieutenant Aiden Core stood in the command center, monitoring energy readings and drone positions. His jaw was tight, his eyes scanning multiple screens at once. Outside, the alien stirred in the trap, muscles tensing, claws flexing, and energy pulsing through its massive body. Every motion it made sent vibrations through the canyon floor, shaking the colony's defenses and rattling nerves inside the reinforced shelters. Captain Elena Rourke moved among the strike teams, giving last-minute instructions, her voice calm but resolute. "Remember, this is not just strength. The alien is smart. Watch its movements, predict its reactions, and hit when it shows the tiniest opening. One mistake, and we lose Arden 9. Dr. Lyra Venn adjusted the energy pulse cannons, her hands steady despite the tension. "We've calculated its weak points. Timing is everything. Hit the gaps when it charges. Distract it, confuse it, and then strike precisely." The alien sensed the human's preparation. It had learned from every encounter, but it could not predict every clever human move. Its massive head tilted, glowing eyes scanning, claws scraping the canyon walls. Sparks and dust rose around it as drones buzzed and pulse cannons fired test bursts, designed to bait and provoke. Then the battle began. The alien lunged toward the first wave of drones, its claws smashing them like paper. Sparks flew, metal tore, and energy pulses crackled through the air. The humans watched every reaction, noting its timing, speed, and intelligence. Even in the heat of destruction, their plan depended on understanding the creature's behavior. "Stay calm. Don't rush," Captain Rourke shouted. "We wait for the moment. It will reveal its weakness." The alien roared, a deep, vibrating sound that echoed across the canyon. Its massive form twisted, slamming against energy nets, scattering drones, and shaking the ground violently. Humans fell back, using cover and coordinated movements to stay alive while maintaining the illusion of weakness. The creature's intelligence was frightening. It adapted quickly, predicting some attacks, dodging others, and countering with brutal force. Lieutenant Aiden monitored its rhythm. "Now," he whispered, signaling the strike team. The alien raised a claw to crush a drone. At that exact moment, The humans fired concentrated pulse blasts at the tiny paws in its armor they had observed, hitting multiple weak points in unison. Sparks and smoke erupted as the alien roared in surprise and pain, thrashing violently. For a moment, chaos ruled. The beast's power was unmatched, but humans had precision, teamwork, and courage on their side. Drones darted in and out, creating distractions, while smaller strike teams advanced from hidden positions. Energy pulses lit the canyon in blinding bursts, making the creature hesitate, giving humans precious seconds to strike again. The alien adapted, charging one side of the trap with incredible speed. A wave of dust and debris filled the canyon. The humans held their ground, using every defense they had prepared. Pulse cannons fired, nets tightened, and drones buzzed in swarms, confusing the creature. It roared again, sensing resistance, its glowing eyes narrowing as if calculating every option. Amid the chaos, Aiden and Captain Rourke led a small team to flank the alien. They ran along hidden paths, climbing jagged rocks and leaping over debris, keeping out of sight while preparing the final strike. Each heartbeat was a countdown. The monster's intelligence meant any misstep could be fatal. The alien turned its massive head, sensing movement. Sparks flew as it lashed with claws, tearing apart nearby rocks and crushing drones midair. Dust filled the canyon, making visibility nearly impossible. Humans moved like shadows, sticking to the plan, relying on intuition, courage, and careful coordination. Dr. Ven's voice came over the comms, calm and precise. Prepare the concentrated pulse. Hit the weak points in sequence. Wait for its charge. Now is the moment. The alien lunged, its massive body coiling like a spring. Its claws swept the canyon floor, smashing pulse cannons and scattering drones. Sparks flew in every direction. Humans ducked behind cover, timing their movements with precision. At the exact moment the alien's armor paused for a fraction of a second, a flaw they had observed in countless analyses. The strike team unleashed the concentrated energy pulses directly at the exposed points. The alien roared, thrashing violently. Its body writhed against the energy, sparks and smoke shooting from its armored skin. For a terrifying moment, it seemed unstoppable, its strength overwhelming. But humans had learned, adapted, and coordinated. They pressed the advantage, hitting again and again, each strike precise, each movement calculated. The battle raged for what felt like hours. Dust, sparks, and energy arcs filled the canyon, creating a chaotic symphony of destruction. The alien's intelligence was apparent. It was learning, adapting, and predicting, but it could not anticipate human ingenuity fully. Every strike, every movement from the humans was a puzzle piece, guiding the alien into patterns they could exploit. Finally, after a series of carefully timed strikes, the alien faltered. Its massive body stumbled against the canyon walls, sparks flying from energy nets, dust clouding the air. Its glowing eyes burned with fury and calculation, but for the first time, hesitation crept into its movements. Humans pressed the advantage, coordinating final strikes that hit weak points simultaneously. The alien roared one last time, a deep sound that shook the canyon and echoed across the plains. Its massive limbs thrashed, energy pulses crackled, and then it paused, motionless for a tense, heart-stopping moment. The humans held their breath. They had pushed the creature to the edge, but it was far from defeated. Captain Rourke glanced at Aiden, her face set with determination. We've heard it, yes, but it's learning. It's adapting. This is not the end, it's a lesson. We survive today, but tomorrow, we strike smarter, harder, and faster. Aiden nodded, heart racing. He had seen humans at their best. Brave, clever, and united against impossible odds. The alien was terrifying, but humans had ingenuity, courage, and determination. Arden 9 had survived its first true battle, and the humans knew the war was far from over. Outside, the alien retreated, massive form moving into the shadows, but its intelligence remained clear. It had learned, and the humans had learned too. Arden 9 had survived, but only barely. Casualties were minimal compared to the colony's size, but the experience left scars. both on the land and in the minds of those who had witnessed the creature's raw power. Dr. Venn studied the data from the battle, pointing at energy fluctuations in the alien's body. It's smart, stronger than anything we've faced, but we've discovered more about its weaknesses. Timing, precision, and coordination, that is how humans survive. We strike when it pauses, distract when it calculates, and never give it a predictable path. That is our advantage. Captain Rourke looked at the battered colony and her team. Humans survive by thinking, by adapting, by facing the impossible and refusing to bow. Arden 9 is safe tonight, yes, but the alien will return, stronger and smarter. And when it does, we must be ready. Aiden took a deep breath, looking at the distant horizon where shadows still moved, hinting at a creature far larger than the humans had imagined. We will be ready. Arden 9 has survived today, and humans always survive. That is who we are. The sun rose higher, casting a pale light over the battered canyon and the shaken colony. Sparks from destroyed drones still flickered. Smoke rose from scorched earth, and the distant winds carried the memory of the alien's roar. Arden 9 had survived, but the war was far from over. The humans had learned, adapted, and fought with every ounce of courage they had. And as long as humans were clever, determined, and united, they had a chance, even against the impossible. The alien had learned as well. It would return smarter, faster, and more relentless. But humans had discovered its weaknesses, and they would not make the same mistakes twice. Arden 9's story was far from finished, and humanity's determination burned brighter than ever. And in the hearts of the humans, one thought resonated louder than fear. We do not bow. We do not surrender. We survive. Always. The colony of Arden 9 lay in uneasy silence. The dust from the previous battles hung thick in the air, catching the dim light of the twin moons. Drones floated lazily, damaged but functional, and scorched earth bore testimony to the alien beast's wrath. Humans had survived the first encounters, had learned its patterns, and had even managed to wound it. But they knew this was not the end. The alien was intelligent, relentless, and far from defeated. Tonight would decide everything. Lieutenant Aiden Core checked the energy readings again. Sparks of concern ran through him despite his calm exterior. Every sensor indicated that the alien was regrouping, observing, and preparing. Its massive form had disappeared into the distant plains, but its presence was felt in every vibration of the ground, in every flicker of a damaged drone. Arden 9 had survived, yes, but survival was not enough. Captain Elena Rourke moved among the strike teams, inspecting weapons and reinforcing morale. "Remember," she said firmly, "this creature thinks it can dominate us. It believes humans are weak, disorganized, and predictable. It has never faced the full force of human ingenuity, unity, and courage. Tonight, we show it what that means." Dr. Lyra Venn adjusted her console, projecting data about the alien's energy patterns and weaknesses. "We've learned more about it than ever before. The strength is unmatched, but its armor has gaps. It reacts to energy overloads and environmental traps in predictable ways. If we act in perfect timing, we can exploit them. Arden 9's terrain, our drones, and pulse cannons, we use everything we have. We hit it all at once." The humans prepared their final strategy. The canyon became a theater of calculated chaos. Pulse cannons were positioned in perfect arcs, drones were programmed for coordinated strikes, and decoy signals were set to confuse and lure the alien into preset kill zones. Every colonist capable of action had a role, every movement timed with precision. Arden 9 had become both battlefield and weapon. From the command center, Aiden watched the horizon. The alien had returned. Its massive form emerged from the shadows, glowing eyes scanning the landscape, muscles rippling, claws digging into the rocky plains. It moved with terrifying grace and intelligence, aware of every trap yet willing to test each carefully. "Stay calm," Captain Rourke commanded. "We bait it, we distract it, and then we strike with everything. Timing is everything." The alien approached slowly, almost testing the humans. Sparks flew as it interacted with the decoys, false energy signatures, drone swarms, and empty corridors. Every step it took shook the ground, making the humans flinch inside their protective positions. Arden 9's inhabitants knew the alien could crush them in seconds if they faltered. But hesitation was not an option. Then the beast lunged toward the canyon. Its claws smashed pulse cannons in a furious arc, drones were shredded midair, and sparks flew from energy nets. Humans ducked, fired, and moved in coordinated patterns, striking at the precise moments that Dr. Venn had calculated. Timing, observation, and discipline were their weapons, as much as pulse cannons or reinforced barriers. Aiden signaled the strike team. Now, hit the weak points. Hit together. Concentrated pulse blasts struck the alien at its armor gaps simultaneously. Sparks erupted from its metallic hide, and a roar of pain shook the canyon. For the first time, it faltered, hesitated, uncertain of its next move. Humans pressed their advantage, striking again with drones, pulse cannons, and energy traps. The alien thrashed violently, its intelligence clear in every movement. It adapted quickly, attempting to evade and counterattack. But Arden 9's humans had anticipated its learning. Every reaction was already calculated for. Every path of escape had been predicted. The colony itself had become a weapon, a clever maze designed to exploit the alien's power and intelligence. Yet even in chaos, the alien's eyes glowed with fury and awareness. It understood it was being outsmarted and grew more aggressive. Dust, sparks, and energy pulses filled the canyon, creating a storm of light and shadow. Humans fought with every ounce of courage, hitting relentlessly while coordinating movements, never pausing, never allowing the creature a predictable advantage. The climax approached. Captain Rourke's voice came over the comms. All units, final phase. Overload its energy circuits. Push it into the canyon trap. Do not let it escape. The alien lunged one last time, massive claws tearing the rocky walls, pulse blasts colliding with its body. Then, perfectly timed, the strike team activated the overload. Concentrated energy arcs surged from all sides, hitting the creature at the precise weak points. Sparks and smoke erupted. The ground shook violently, and the alien's roar reverberated like thunder across the plains. It staggered, thrashing, and for a terrifying moment, it seemed unstoppable. But the humans pressed relentlessly. Pulse nets tightened, drones distracted, and coordinated strikes continued. Every movement was timed perfectly, exploiting the brief pauses in the alien's reactions. Arden 9 itself seemed alive, guiding every strike, amplifying human ingenuity. Finally, the alien fell. Its massive form crashed to the ground, dust and sparks rising from its armored body. It had not surrendered, but its movements slowed, weakened by the humans' precision, teamwork, and strategy. The colony held its breath. One last energy pulse, and the creature ceased movement, alive but immobilized, a testament to both its power and the humans' cunning. The canyon was silent except for the soft hum of drones and generators. The humans emerged carefully, surveying the massive beast that had terrorized them for weeks. It was alive, intelligent, and terrifying, but for the first time it was contained. Arden 9 had survived. Humans had fought, adapted, and prevailed. Captain Rourke looked at her team, pride and relief shining through exhaustion. "This is what humans do," she said quietly. "We face the impossible. We adapt. We fight together. And we survive." Aiden knelt beside one of the strike drones, scanning its damage reports. "We've learned so much," he said. "It's intelligent, adaptive, but Arden 9 and humans are smarter." Dr. Venn approached, holding a data tablet filled with alien energy readings and movement patterns. "This creature is not gone, but it will think twice before attacking again. And we have knowledge now, knowledge that will save lives and give humans an edge in the future. Arden 9 has survived because humans are clever, determined, and united." Outside, the alien's glowing eyes dimmed, yet intelligence lingered in its gaze. It had been bested, temporarily subdued, but it had learned from humans as much as they had learned from it. Arden 9 was safe, for now, but the universe beyond the twin moons was vast, full of unknown dangers, and the alien was a reminder that survival required courage, strategy, and unity. The colonists gathered around the command center, exhausted but alive. Children peeked from shelters, engineers patched damaged defenses, and soldiers prepared for the possibility of future encounters. Arden 9's humans had faced a nightmare and survived, not through brute strength alone, but through intelligence, courage, and teamwork. Captain Rourke raised her voice, addressing the colony. "We do not bow. We do not surrender. We survive. Humans survive because we think, we fight, and we never give up. Arden 9 is our home, and we will protect it. No matter the monster, no matter the odds, we endure." A cheer rose from the colonists, echoing across the canyon, reaching the distant plains where the alien lay immobilized. Humans had faced the impossible, and they had survived. Arden 9 would rebuild. Humans would endure. And in the vast, dark reaches of space, one truth was clear. Humanity would not bow. Humanity would not be defeated. Humanity would always survive. The twin moons cast their pale light over Arden 9, reflecting off the battered walls of the canyon and the scarred earth. The alien lay contained but alive, a silent reminder of the challenges that still awaited. Humans had triumphed, but their vigilance would never end. They had survived by thinking, by fighting, and by standing together. And they knew, in the quiet after the battle, that humanity's resolve would outlast fear, monsters, and even the unknown void of space. And in the hearts of every colonist, one thought echoed louder than fear, louder than exhaustion, louder than the alien's roar. We do not kneel. We do not surrender. We survive. Always.